Alright, so what's up, folks? Today is July the 18th, 2024, and I finally got a little bit of this camera stuff figured out. So, yeah, so this is a better green screen, if you will. Still got this little bit going on over here, but yeah, I got the colors a little bit better. So today I don't really have much to go over, but I just did want to clue you in on a few of the things that I've done today, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I want to clue you in on a few of the things I did today, and a few of the scripts that I worked on, and then just kind of what I was seeing on the chart. And I don't know what I'm starting to. I've been studying the charts every day, and I'm seeing some things that I think I can really use to improve my entries. So let's look at what I looked at today. Let's see. All right, so here is my trading desk. Like I said, typically I have up the 15-second chart. So a few things that I learned today, and I'm always learning something. I was chatting with somebody on Discord, and you know, just talking about, you know, having some experience being a programmer or programming and coming up with scripts and that kind of thing, which is great. But and that's good. I actually really enjoy programming, so I don't necessarily have to be a profitable day trader. I don't like need it to survive or anything like that. But I would like to prove my worth, prove my value in being able to take some money home from trading from the market based on my performance programming. But that's another story. Like I said, I don't need it to happen today, tomorrow, or whatever. So in the meantime, these are all the things I'm looking at. And so the first thing I learned today was that you can come over here. So typically, like I said, a lot of times you'll see that I have a lot of stuff on my chart, and one of the things I did today in my journaling is I wrote down like what's most significant. I think I looked at the prior day, right? And I looked at some of these things that are most significant when you have these larger moves here. What's happening here, right? So what are some of the things we consistently see? That big bump there. This one had a little bit of a bump before it kind of hit this area, but I'm looking to see what we are consistently seeing here. We see the high marks, high marks, high marks, high marks. But one of the things that we didn't. So again, I make multiple scripts, and I'm just looking for what I'm looking for. And I was talking with one of my homeboys. Matter of fact, Mac, congratulations on passing your combine. But I'm definitely a visual learner, right? So I got to put all this stuff on the screen so I can see what I'm looking for. I can't feel it. I can't. And it's too much data to try to look at the market depth over here. It's too much data to try to look at this all at one time and form an opinion or a thesis on this while looking for a support level over here, while looking at the larger time frame. It's too much for me to do all that at one time, considering how many ticks are coming in versus the volume. Yeah, so I need something visual, right? So if you go over here and you go to edit studies, one thing that you can do is, you see, scroll down here to TikTok bar, double click that, and then when I go to scaling, and then you can do hidden, right? So I think normally it's supposed to be 10, so this is going to be the thing that I have to figure out, because I do have an order to these, right? So I've got to order these. I got the volume here, then the ticks, then the spread, then 2 of the bid-ask studies, then 3 of the time and sale studies, then the cumulative marks, volatility index. But before the volatility index comes the TikTok bar. So this should be 10. And when I click that, now it shows up, right? So it shows up here, And if you go over, you see the TikTok bar here. The TikTok bar was actually still calculating. It was still gathering the data. It was still on the chart. It just wasn't visible. It was just hidden. Unlike if you, let's see. Let me add something to the chart so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about and show you how it's valuable. If we go to something that requires current data, bars to time, bar span to time. Cumulative level. Maybe this one? No. Oh, bid ask highest. I think this might be one that shouldn't interfere with anything else on my chart. All right, so let's actually do this on another chart, and that way we won't interfere with this one. So we're gonna go here, and then we're gonna go bid ask highest. Like that. We'll do it scaling. This will be right axis subgraph 2. And then just add that there. Okay, so we'll put this on like the 1 second chart just so we get a lot of data. Because it's going to pull data for every second or every tick, that kind of thing. So you see this data here. So typically if you have this data on the screen and say you have 10 subgraphs, and I think this thing will take up to 16, right? So if you go over here, you double click that, you go to scaling, you go to subgraphs, it goes up to 16. Okay, so if you do that, you got 16 on there, and say for whatever reason all 16 of those subgraphs, 10, 11 subgraphs, 12 subgraphs, 13, 14, 15, 16, and now all of a sudden you have a very small visible window for, you know, placing entries, placing trades, just seeing what the bars look like. You know, if you're zoomed out, if it's squeezed and pinched, it looks like that, versus, you know, if it's zoomed in, you can actually see what the bars looks like. So all you gotta do is you gotta go over here and you double click on this, left click, and then you just go to hidden. And then when you do hidden, then it hides it. All right, so now it's in the background, if you will, is hidden, but you've got full access of the rest of your chart or the other subgraphs that you might need. And then you just come back over here and then you go to studies. The only thing I don't like about it is when you go to hidden, if you don't know where it was in the order, now you just got to pick one, right? So like I said, for the TikTok bar, it was 10. This one is just going to be 2. Okay. And now it just shows back up, right? So it shows back up. It's still got the data here. It never stopped capturing the data. So that's what is the important thing to me. All right, so with that, like I said, if I was to go in here and turn it off and then turn it back on, it starts over collecting new data, right? And it doesn't capture the prior data that was already on here. Those bars that you had, it doesn't hold historical values. It doesn't hold historical bars. And that's why I had to write all these scripts that will hold historical values, right? So this is July 18th. If we go back to the July 17th or 16th or 15th, all these days, I'm storing the data from all of these days so that I then can go back and look at it and say, why did we have a serious bit of a reversal there? What happened here? And then I can just kind of come in here and I can just study it. All right? I can study it. Okay, well, when we came down here, we got a high amount of level 2 activity. The market depth really responded here. Plus, we got a high amount of ticks there, which are 2 things that are very important for a bit of a reversal. I also like to see the market orders peak too. They didn't peak here, but they are peaking subsequently in this range. All right, when it comes back and touches the support. Not as much there. Look like down there it got some. I mean, it's It's higher here, but there wasn't just one area of a larger amount of ticks, large amount of market orders. Okay. All right. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys that I really learned here recently, just kind of looking at all the data that I have before me, is this thing here, this that I created last week. It really seems to be helpful. I mean, you know, nothing is 100%, but I'm noticing that when I get these red pluses, green pluses here, these green pluses kind of create this bit of a zone here. And when the price does end up coming back down, touching into it, the wicks off, come back down, touch into it, it moves up. So again, you got to figure out how to trade it, or if you got to look for something else, some other bit of confirmation, which it worked for me today. On my combine, I did the best I've done in a long time on my combines, and on my regular account. I think on my regular account, I've only got like a couple $100 in here, but on this $200 account, I made you know, $50, right? So that's 25%, which is, and that's just trade micros, and I took several contracts, but that's good, man. If I can maintain something like that using some of these indicators, using some of these theories, if you will, then I'm for it, right? So again, as the chart is moving here, you see you're not sure when to get in, right? You're not sure when to get in, and then all of a sudden you get this plus at the top, this plus at the bottom. This bottom plus creates this demand zone, right? And so what does it do from that bottom plus? It taps right into that, from that green plus right there, it taps right into that, and then it moves up. So those are the kind of trades that I was taking today, just looking for 1 point or 2 points or something like that, just kind of scalping. Same thing here. You see this green plus here, green plus there, green plus here. Move down into it within a point or a tick or so, and then it moved back out of it. So yeah, this seems to work for me. I've got to, like I said, I still got to fine tune it and look at some other stuff, but and you see it didn't work here, right? It didn't work here, but I'm finding that typically you want to consider it to be more valid when the market is coming down. See, this is coming down, and now we get it. This market is coming down, and now we get it. This market here is moving up, and we got it here. So you typically don't want to trust that. You might, and that might be the time when, I don't know, I hadn't looked at it. I don't know if the supply one is accurate then. I don't know. Let's see. Nope. I mean, it moved up to it, but then it moved right through it. So, yeah, I'm still sorting through everything, trying to figure everything out. But one of the things that I saw today, and then this is a new script that I put together. I hadn't decided whether or not I'm going to record, you know, like I have all this other stuff recorded. I hadn't decided whether or not I'm going to hold on to this, if it's super valid, or if I'm just curious about it, and then I'm going to ixnay it. But this one here, so I made 2 scripts last night or yesterday. This script here is essentially, and you see, I mean, it's not bad, right? So here, as the chart came down, it moved up. Call it that top before it came down. Here, call it the top before it came down. Here, it's, why do we have a whole bunch of dogs out here barking? Okay, all right. Hey man, I live on a quiet neighborhood. We don't be having dogs out here barking, sound like they fighting and stuff. Looked like one of the neighbors actually didn't have their dog on the leash, and the dogs, the neighbor walking by did have their dog on the leash. Keep your dogs on the leash, and might have been an all-out brawl. Anyway, so you see here, Price moved up, hit the X, came back down. Down here, it caught the X, and then it moved up, came down, hit the X, came up. So, but then you see in here, it starts getting a little bit funky, a little bit dicey. So, you know, it's not 100% for sure, but it definitely has its times where it works. So how I kind of figured that out was I came over here to the tick chart, and like I said, this tick hold is another script that I made yesterday, but they are similar. So they are looking at the ticks, and essentially I've seen it before where, like, when the chart comes down, it'll go sideways, 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 and then it'll go up. And so what this is calling for, you zoom way in on it, and that's what I love about this computer. I promise you, I'm going to do all I can to exploit this computer programming, the assistance and the help from TradeStation forums, the developers, the development team. I'm going to exploit as much as I can because it may not last forever, and I'm just glad that I have access to it. But anyway, so what I'm essentially looking for is, like, I think I was asking for 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 bars where, not the current bar, but 5 previous bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's 4 bars, but it was either 4 or 5 bars. I thought it was 5 bars where the chart, where there is, for this bar, this is a 5-tick bar, but where this bar has no body, right? So, and it doesn't have wicks or anything either. I'm just saying it's just flat. The high is equal to the low, is equal to the open, is equal to the close. It's all just boop, right? So need to have like 5 in a row. And not only that, but I don't want the bids being way down here and the ask being way up here. I want the bids being all right here, and I want the ask being all right here. So it's just saying that there is at least just a moment, a blip, a glimpse in time where everything is just flat. And I don't know if I need to superimpose that with high ticks or high volume or whatever, but like I said, it looks like I've got something that may be working. So I'm going to keep playing with that. And now the last thing that I want to show you that I've been working on today, I worked on it just today, and I've got a couple errors that I had with it, so I'm going to just kind of show you what those are. This chart is on a 3-second time frame, but this chart, look at this information down here. I don't know if it makes any sense to you. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hopefully it will. Okay, all right, so when I zoom in there, you see a top bar and a bottom bar. Top bar and a bottom bar. Top line and bottom line. All right, so essentially what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a candle that has both, that has a middle of the candle, so it's split up. So we'll say that this is the middle of the candle. All right, and whatever the range is of the candle might have a top wick and a bottom wick, but we're going to split the candle in half. And so however much time the chart spins at the top side versus as soon as it comes, so this is all top side time, and then as soon as it comes down to the bottom side, I don't know, whatever it does. Okay, so however this bar starts and stops, this should have one more because we're gonna call this a bearish candle. So it started here, it came down, it went up, it came down, and then it went back up and it finished here. Okay, so this is a bearish candle. All right, now that being said, I want to know how much time is spent at the top half of the candle versus the bottom half of the candle. Because we know that during these wicks, a lot of times during those wicks, it's swoop, it's really fast, right? So we would expect it in a candle that is like heavily rejected, showing signs of heavy rejection. There's going to be way less volume. There's going to be way less time to the rejected side of the candle. So it's a theory. I'm wanting to see what it looks like. I'm going to play with it again tomorrow. Like I said, I had an error with it today, but if you scroll out, I can't really see anything. The blue should be the top side of the... Nope. The blue line is the bottom half of the candle. The red line is the top half of the candle. So how can we make sense of that in a day as bearish as today? The top side is the top side. It hasn't been spending much time on the top side of the candle. It's been spending more time on the bottom side of the candle. I'll have to pay more attention. I mean, because I would just think that as like when you get these flushes, here, I think that the candle will spend more time up here and then flush down through here. No time at the bottom. Spend more time up here and then flush down at the bottom. No time. So that's something that I have to kind of source out. But I was looking at my script because, like I said, one of the things is to be able to look at the indicator and make sure that it looks like it makes sense. And then another thing is to really look at your script and make sure that it is saying what you wanted to say. So there was another piece. So what I started doing today as well is just kind of jotting down some of the things I learned along the way, looking at some of these errors. This error here, method arguments and local variables cannot be used as inputs in series functions due to their lifetime. That had something to do with I had a function. I created my own function. It's the function is just between, right? And so you put in price, low, high. I created my own function and I tried to put that function inside this method and it didn't like that. So I mean, I guess you could compute the function outside of it and bring it back into it. I don't know how else I might decide to carry out that process, but it didn't like this. So next thing is I use a stopwatch here. So I use a stopwatch, and the stopwatch actually, and it tells you, I mean, it's not a secret or anything like that. Like I said, I'm still learning. Stopwatch saves the elapsed milliseconds in a integer 64 type of element, and I just assumed that I could put this this stopwatch integer, this integer 64. I figured I could just put that over into an integer element or an integer variable, and it didn't like that. It said the error wasn't on here, the error was somewhere else, but it said that it cannot assign an object of type int 64 to object int, essentially. So integer 64 or int 64 and int are two different things, right? So I learned that today. Another thing, yeah, just being careful that you clean up your scripts enough so that you kind of know what's what and where is where. Like I said, in the past couple weeks, we're trying to really make sure that we have clean scripts, right? So at the beginning, you have your namespaces, and this should be the way that you want to set it up. And then you're going to have your inputs, if you have any inputs. color. All right, and then you're going to have your variables. And again, like I said, when you're working with methods and some of these other toolboxes and stuff like that, you want to try to have all your variables declared in one section with one word variable. Okay, so have all your variables together, and so that'll be the third thing is your variables, are your variables. All right, and then you're going to have any methods. Next, your methods. Okay, and then you're going to have your once statements. So things that you might want to happen as soon as the chart is initialized, go ahead and have your once statements. And then the next thing is you get into the main body. Now, typically what I do when I come to the main body is I just get started, right? I don't really focus a lot on what I want to happen when. But when you are working with stuff that can only happen on, like when you're using stopwatch, you know, when you're working with stuff that you're only really plotting in real time, then you might as well go ahead and say if last bar on chart, right? That way you know you're on a real bar, you're in real time. Or you'll say get app info AI real time calc equals 1. That means that you're you know, and on a live chart as well. So you could do either one of those, and then you can put all of your body. You can put all of your body within that, all the rest of your body within that. And technically, this could be there too. This could be within here too if you wanted it. But the other thing is, like I said, sometimes you're going to want to reference specific parts of a bar, and sometimes you're going to want it to happen on every bar. Now we're doing interbar persist here, so we want it to happen actually on every tick. So that's what we got going on here. But on here for plotting, we want it to happen only if we're on the final tick of the bar. Okay. All right, so let me see. Now I don't even know what I was going to correct. Oh, top H and bottom H is the cumulative time for the top half and the bottom half of the bar. But we're only calculating that on the last bar, right? So this is split bar. Split bar is method to calculate sums of top bottom half. Okay, so we're only doing these calculations on the final tick of the bar, so we don't need top half and bottom half to exist or persist within the bar. So I was just going to take that out just to make the computer not have to work as hard when it doesn't need to. All right, so and then I think we had an extra variable in here. We got HB, MB, LB, and these do need to happen on every tick. HB, LB, and MB, they do need to happen on every tick. Okay, and those are doubles, so we can leave it like that. And then stopwatch mid B for mid bar. Mid B for mid bar is only happening on the final tick of the bar as well. It's just saying once the bar finishes painting, we want to look at that range of the bar, and we want to find out what the midpoint of the bar is. And what is the midpoint? I created a new function, and it's just HL2, hollow 2. All right, so to create a function, all you got to do is go up here and go to create new, and then go to function, and then you name your function what you want it to what you want the shortcut or the name to be. So mine is $HL2. So it's just going to be the high plus the low divided by 2. And that's pretty much it. So we go back to time bar split. So HL2 is equal to mid B. All right. So what we did here was we took a vector, and at the beginning of the initialization, we went ahead and declared all of our objects. We went ahead and started the stopwatch, and then when we got a real bar, we said, all right, well, let's find the middle of the tick, which should just be essentially give us the level of the tick. Let's get the middle of the tick, and we're going to push that to this vector. So we're going to store that number, and then also we're going to store how long it takes to get to the end of that tick, if you will. Okay, and once we got those values, we're going to go ahead and assign those values to the vector. And once we have those values, then we'll go ahead and restart the stopwatch, because now we have a new tick. Oh, now we got a new tick. And then we're going to assign those two variables, and then we're going to reset the stopwatch, and now we have a new tick. And then we're going to reassign. We're going to add those values to the vector, restart the stopwatch, and then we get a new tick. Again, we're going to store how long it takes to get from one tick to the next, store that amount of time, and store the level that we're at, and then we're going to get another tick after we reset the stopwatch. So now we have the time between ticks, and now we just need to decide the time between. So we have the time between the ticks of all the ticks for the whole bar. And now we just need to go and we need to look at how long is the bar when it's done. And then how long was the total number of time for the bottom half, and how long was the total number of time for the top half. So that's what we do when we go to the split bar. We say, all right, well, what was the middle of the bar? And yeah, so if that tick value, if the price level was greater than the middle of the bar, then we want to assign that amount of time that it took to top half. And we're going to go through a loop. So we're just going to, what this loop is going to allow us to go through all of the stored values in the vector. Okay, so then we're going to go to the next one. And we're going to say, all right, well, the next one, is it greater than the mid bar? If it is, assign it to top H. If it's not, then we're going to assign it to bottom half. Right? Okay. All right. And like I said, I did notice that this X here, because we're using a vector is 0 based. So the X should start with 0 for X equals 0 to count minus 1. Okay, so like I said, two things we need to get rid of. We need to get rid of the interval bar persist here and here. And then for the X, for the loop, we kept losing a value on every single iteration, every single bar, we kept losing a value. Here, lost value. But other than that, it looks okay. This is one of the errors that I had initially when I wrote the script, is that I did not, when I got done plotting, I did not reset the top half and the bottom half to being 0. So then I just got a sequentially larger number, right? So we started with a number, and then instead of having a new number and a new number and a new number for every bar, we had a number, and then we added to that number. then we add it to that number, then we add it to that number, then we add it to that number. So the value kept going straight up. It was very linear, very linearly ascending. So we had to reset top half and the bottom half is 0, and then we also had to clear the vectors, because one of the things I wasn't doing out is initially I wasn't clearing the vector, and I kept getting some erroneous looking charts, and the numbers, the values were just high, and come to look at it, there were way too many values in the vector, and the numbers were way too high. So I had to clear the vectors, but beyond that, looks like we're good to go. So let's want to go ahead and verify that. I'm not going to make anything new tonight. Okay, so now that I've verified that, now it's just going to start over. It's just going to work on making new plots. So let's see what we get. And here we're not going to get very much. I'm actually surprised that we're getting anything, because those bars are, don't have a body. They don't have a range. And so they don't have a midpoint. But that's what I got to figure out. Maybe now is the time to be looking at it. That's what I have to figure out, because, like I said, the red's the bottom, or the red is the top. So the red is the top half. Top time split, and blue is the bottom time split. But there really shouldn't be anything on either, because this bar is... it's got no body, it's got no width. The open is equal to high is equal to low is equal to close, and therefore it shouldn't have a range. So you can't say, oh well, if it's, oh, I know why. Okay, I know why. Because I said if that price level is greater than or equal to the mid bar, then we're going to do this. I said else we should do this. What I need to do, instead of saying else, I need to just say if I was trying to make less computation so that it would be less work on the system. So we need to say that if it's less than the mid bar, then we're going to do that. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to make less computation. So now you see there is just one line. The blue line is equal to the red line. They're both 0, which they should be on a flat bar with a high equal to the trying to say it fast. With OHLC that is all equal. But see here, you got you do have some range here, so now we got some difference there. Okay, very good. So now we might get some better results. Again, results are only as good as the measure. How tall am I? And I say 5. Well, 5 what? 5 foot? 5 inches? 5 meters? And also you could say, how tall are you? And if you're not using I could say 5'6". And somebody else would come measure me, and they're like, no, you're 5'7". And then another person comes in and now you're 5'4". Well, they all bought their rulers at different locations. One person brought a ruler. One person brought a yardstick, which they had to move multiple times, and another person brought like a laser, a digital laser measurer. And so they can all calculate length, but there can be, there can be degrees of error. There can definitely be error within that. So yeah, just check your system. Check your system, but this is cool. Man. I just love to see data though. I'm sure I'm the only person, but that's okay. I love to see data. All right, and then this is somebody was asking for, I forget who it was. Who was asking for it? Who was I chatting with earlier today? Oh, Z-Rip. Z-Rip was asking for this on Discord. So we were chatting about fair value gap, and this is one that I had made some time ago, and I kind of dug it up, and then I put it in the Discord for download. It's the ELD. Initially, I only had the one version, the bearish version or the bullish version, and then I updated it with the other version. It's interesting, right? I mean, like I said, I'm not really a fair value gap person, but like I said, when you look at it, so like you see, the chart respected the fair value gap right here. I mean, like perfectly, right? I mean, even this small little gap here, I think that's the one. Yeah, it came right down to it, but it had already broke through it one time before though. So, and I know that some people say, well, that makes it invalid. So I don't know, man. I don't know about these fair value gaps. And that's the only reason why I haven't spent more time coding them. And I've seen multiple videos, and people define these things hundreds of different ways, and they say, all right, well, if something touches into it, then it's invalidated. If it doesn't, then it's not. Then I mean, there's just so many rules. It's hard for me to really. I won't say that it's hard to code it. I think by the time that you put all these rules and filters into it, you're going to have nothing. You're going to have nothing. So, and it's easy to say, oh yeah, well, this is a fair value gap, but it's invalid because this bar came down too far, because this volume was here, because this bar was too long or something. But like I say, and so then you can find that this fair value gap right here is perfectly demonstrative of what you are saying. And you can just know in your heart of hearts that you can find that other places. But just as soon as I code that, as soon as I code exactly what you say, and then we go back and we look at this whole chart, it won't show up but maybe 2 other times ever. And I don't know. So again, like I said, when you talk about the value of it, I don't know. Look at this big guy here, and then this one, it didn't quite tap it, but it came up to it, and yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's something everywhere. Everybody's got a potential to find an edge in something, but whether or not you can or not, that's the question. So I won't belabor the point, but I'm gonna get out of here, and yeah, I'm gonna play around with this a little bit more in the next day or so. And because like I'm looking at it, this should not be 11,000. Because this is capturing, I'm gonna have to think about it for a second, but this is capturing the time between ticks. Oh, I know what it's doing. I know what it's doing. All right, so what I'm saying is this is capturing the time between ticks. And so on a 3-second bar, the maximum time that can elapse is 3 seconds or 3,000 milliseconds. So if the maximum time that can elapse is 3,000 milliseconds, say you split this in half, say you have 1,500 at the top, 1,500 at the bottom, well, the total is 3,000. Or you say you don't have, well, you got to have some time. I mean, because if it's a range, it's got a top half and a bottom half. But either way, the total should equal 3,000. The total should not be more than 3,000 milliseconds. 3,000 milliseconds should be here. So I believe, because of the way these ticks are working, no, that wouldn't be it. Because every bar is 3 seconds. Right? Every bar is 3 seconds. So, like I said, I could see a degree of error for it. Like, so I can see this right here. I can see this being accurate and having a degree of error of, you know, a rounding error, if you will. And so us getting 3,000 or 3,100 or something like that, I could see that being okay. But not having 12,000. So one of the things that I just kind of noticed, just thinking about the logic behind it, is here we restarted the timer after a new tick. We also technically need to restart the timer after, oh, maybe that's why. Maybe this needs to be up here. This needs to come first. And so once we get to our final bar, we'll go ahead and take the calculation before we reset the timer. Here we're resetting the timer, and then we're going and we're asking for yeah, that's not right. Here we reset the timer, and not the timer. We reset the stopwatch. So here we're resetting the stopwatch. But technically this doesn't matter because the stopwatch is being reset after we're capturing the elapsed time, and the elapsed time is then being processed here. And then we get our top H and our bottom H. At the end of the live bar, we definitely need to go ahead and restart the timer along with that. But that should only be milliseconds difference between this and this. I mean, let's restarted it anyway. Yeah, so we're still getting like 11,000, 9,000. Alright, I just re-verified it, so trying to think, is there a better time to restart it, but it's not. Restart it after you get the data. And then just confirmation restart at the end of the bar. Again, it should be 0 on these flat bars, so that's right. There is something that I need to learn about for each tick. I need to learn where the high, low, open, close is. Because each tick shouldn't really have a high open, low, close. Let's prove it. Oh, this is going to draw way too many bars. Look at all these fair value gaps it's drawn. Those are fair value gaps. Those are not candles. See, took that away. All right, the candles are here. These are the candles. I mean, because they're not candles. They are ticks. They are just, they're blips of their locations, if you will. All right, so if I go here and I go to start looking at these values, the high, open, high, low, close are all the same. 5,600, 5,600, 5,600, 25, 5,650, 5,675, 5,600, 5,600. So they should all be the same. But yet, when I pulled it up on another, when I did something with a print statement, it came up with different values. All right, so you see how we got 6,000 here? 6,000 isn't possible because there's not 6 seconds between, let's see, from here, this ended at 48. This one ended, well, damn it, didn't it? You know what? You know what? And see, that's, again, and I said it the last video. Some of this is programming, some of this is experience, some of this is I mean, it is what it is. You just have to have time behind the screen. You see how there's, check this out. There's a bar here. 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 Now, because we're in after market hours, it's 8:54 right now. I'm about to get off. But because we're in after market hours, there are not that many trades going on right now. There's not trades going on every 3 seconds and every 3 seconds and every 3 seconds. It's just not. It might be trades this 3 seconds. It might skip 6 seconds and then it's a trade and then it skip 10 seconds and then it's a trade. But in an effort not to have a bare chart with a lot of gaps, and I think you can change this on your settings, but in an effort not to have a scrawny looking chart, you can set the settings so that it will get rid of empty spaces. And so when it gets rid of these empty spaces, look at this. This bar here says time 20:37:18. This bar here says 37:24. Well, what's the difference between 18 and 24? Huh? That's 6 seconds, right? Yet, this is a 3-second chart. So why is there 6 seconds between the two? This bar ended at 37:18. This bar ended at 37:24. There's 6 seconds between this chart, and it should only be 3 seconds. So again, there was not any ticks in between there on one of those time intervals, so it just lumped them together. And it was like, you'll probably appreciate it. Well, yeah, you would, unless you are looking at a chart like I'm looking at it, and I really want to focus on a 3-second span so I can compare apples to apples while I'm looking at this data. But instead of looking at a 3-second or 3,000 milliseconds, instead of looking at 3-second spans, I'm looking at this one. It looks like that was 12,000. So that looked like that was what was that? 12 seconds. 12 seconds. So from here to here must have been 12 seconds. So we're looking at this one ends at 39. This one ends at 39. This one ends at 24. From 24 to 39, what's that? 15, right? So yes, we found the issue, and it wasn't in our script. It's just in TradeStation's charts, and you can't figure this stuff out by not being at the charts every day. I've been messing around with TradeStation for 2 years. I've been programming on here for 1.5 years, and this is something I just learned. It like hit me today just now. So like I said, you got to spend time with the charts. All right, let's see if we can adjust that so that it doesn't have the extra spaces. And I know I've seen somewhere on here where you can adjust for that, and I don't know where it was. But once you find it, now then you can adjust your chart, and you can so we might, well, I was gonna say we could change this to a tick chart, and then it would only give us the ticks, but then the time would really look, I mean, that might be worthwhile in a time like today, but I just want to see what it looks like on the time bar so we can compare apples to apples. All right, for bar building, use natural hours, trade style, that maybe outlining. Nah, I don't see it. Let me do double click. Yeah, we show data series, so graph. I don't know how, style, that. Nope, I don't see it. So, but like I said, there should be somewhere where you can remove empty bars or something like that. Nah. Let's go to the, yeah, well. All right, well, I won't waste any time on that. Let's try preferences. Bar spacing. I'll remove open tick. I think this might be it. No, I think this is the tick bar. This is the tick chart. I'll check it. We'll come back to it. But again, it's plotting based on the way the chart is set up. So if we change this right now, it's not going to it can't change these computations right here, because these computations are based on the bar. It's not, but I mean, now we're about to change the whole chart. Show empty daily trading periods for traditional chart types. Empty daily trading periods. Show empty intraday session periods. I think this is what I'm talking about. I do want to see the empty. I want to see the empty areas on the charts. I don't want you to make stuff up and just give me something. I want to see it for what it is. So let's hit that and hit OK. So like I said, it had to restart. There we go. There we go. All right. See, we'll figure this stuff out, man. All right. So now I got to make myself a note. I got to make myself a note because this is something else I learned for the day. I learned a lot of stuff today. You see these empty areas here? These empty areas that we didn't see before? Now, the only thing now is I wonder, is it going to give us any errors if we have these empty bars? It's already done something funny. It's already locked up. What you doing? Okay. It's already locked up or something. But I don't see any errors come up. But it stopped. Oh, it's recalculating my my other chart too. You know what? I'm gonna can't even close that right now. So it looks like it's changing both desktops. So it's not just changing the one desktop; it's changing both desktops. That being said, that's something I learned the other day, was that if you want to make a change to your desktop, to your settings, it will change everything. So it ended up resetting my other screen. I figured on this second desktop though, it wouldn't affect my main desktop, but it looks like it's locked up too. And I don't know how long it's going to take it to. I got another workspace. I don't know how long it's going to take it to sort it all out. So I'm just going to get off here because I really don't have anything else to talk about or discuss. Here we go. All right, so it's no. Yeah, I really don't have anything to talk about. So I'll catch you later. Like I said, I'll be running this time bar split tomorrow. I'm going to reset the computer here shortly, and just I'm gonna set the settings back to the way that it should be, because typically, you know, with trading ES and futures, they're fairly liquid. So I know that it's illiquid during after hours times like this, but I don't trade during this time, so I need it to be set up for my regular market hours when I come back to it, and I don't need it to be doing any funny stuff like it's trying to do now. So but I'll give you an update on most likely in Discord though, where I'm working on that indicator. But I'll give you an update on what this script looks like and if it was effective, helpful, or just a big load of garbage. All right, guys. Leave a comment. Challenge me. You know, ask me to come up with a script or something like that, or something that you're looking for specifically. Like I said, a lot of the market metrics that I look at, I'd be even curious to see what you guys think about those, right? So the things that I'm already kind of plotting and the things I'm already looking at. If you are overlooking my shoulder on the chart and you see something and you're like, yeah, Eric, but did you see the spike in such and such just prior to the reversal? That's the kind of stuff I want to hear, right? Clue me in on that so we can take some of these indicators and these market metrics that we're already looking at and fine tune them and, you know, let that matriculate. But anyway, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace. Oh, now it's back. Well, it just did something. Yeah, so I'm able to get to the chart. Okay, here we go. This is what I typically get when I load my chart up. If the master token starts loading up before the rest of the charts, which is unfortunate. I'm gonna have to let this thing run because I need to save. There we go. I need to save all this stuff before I close it out. And you saw while I was on here just a bit ago, it wanted to do the backup. Man, now I back up my charts every day. I back them up every day. I back up my workspaces, my desktops every day. I'm gonna cancel that. Go back here. Yeah, see it messed up my setup. But we'll get it. See what happened here. So we're back up to, okay, so 8,000, but not 12,000. What do we get here? 1254. It's still doing something like that, right? Though, so we just made it so that it would give us the gaps. If there were gaps in the time, it would give us the gaps and it wouldn't hold back. But you see here, we got another $8,000, $8,000 millisecond time span, which is essentially 8 seconds. So we put our cursor here, look at the data window. It's showing that is 210603, and the bar before it was 54, which is 7-10 seconds. So a 10-second span from this bar to that bar. So I don't know. Maybe TradeStation just is not really set up for the minutia. I guess we're gonna learn here over the next couple weeks, because I am determined. I'm determined to put it through its paces. I'm gonna scrape this platform clean. You hear me? All right. Anyway, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace. Oh, Center Star. Yeah. I didn't even realize you came in the building. You have any questions or anything while I'm here? Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off, or maybe we can address the questions tomorrow, or if it's a script you want me to work on or something like that, I can work on it tomorrow while I'm at the trading desk. Center Star. Center Star, going once, going twice. I know it's a little bit of a lag. So, and cut. All right, man. Well, I'll catch you next time. Like I said, just put a comment on the on the video or something, because the comments that show up here on the chat, they won't exist. They won't exist when the video closes. So just put the comments on the video itself, and we'll get to them tomorrow. And let's try to make some money tomorrow. All right, everybody, let's try to make some money. So make some. If you don't make money, make progress. That's also very important. More important, actually more important. I was trading today, and like I said, I did pretty good on the combine, and then I came over to my real account and I traded, and I did pretty good, and then I gave it all back, and then I did get it all back, but I found myself looking back and forth at my P&L, looking back and forth. I was spending more time looking at my P&L than I was managing my position, and it ought not be about that. It ought not be about the P&L. It ought to be about you sticking with a consistent plan. You sticking with a consistent, profitable strategy that has a favorable risk to reward ratio. That's it. But hey, I'm human. Gosh, I've been hearing that in my head for the last day. That song, I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your hands on. Don't put your something on me. Don't put your hands on me. All right, let me get out of here. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.